let's talk about something that's a huge deal in pretty much every part of our lives: expectations. You know, they have this incredible power to build us up, but they can also totally break us down. So today we're going to dig into how they really mess with, and sometimes help, our self-worth.
So, have you ever felt that just crushing weight of trying to be what someone else wants you to be? It's intense. But then there's the flip side, that weird, hollow feeling when it seems like no one expects anything from you at all. It's like you don't even register. Both of those feelings can be super damaging, and that's the real puzzle we're looking at here. Okay, so before we dive deeper, let's just get on the same page about self-worth. Really, it's just how you see your own value, right? But here's the catch. A huge chunk of that perception is built on what we get from the outside world. You know, what people think of us, and maybe most importantly, what they expect from us. And that's exactly why it's so perfect to think of expectations as a double-edged sword. Seriously, one edge can build you up, make you stronger, but the other, well, it can cut you down. It all comes down to how that sword is used. All right, let's start with the good side, the sharp edge of that sword. Let's look at how expectations can actually be an amazing force for building us up. You know what's funny? But when someone holds high expectations for you, it's basically a signal. They're telling you, hey, I see something in you. You're important. And feeling needed like that, it's a huge confidence booster. It can light a fire under you, motivate you to grow, and push you to do things you never thought you could pull off. And that can kick off this amazing, positive feedback loop. It's a virtuous cycle. See, you meet an expectation, and boom, you get that hit of validation. That makes you feel better about yourself, which in turn makes you want to aim even higher next time. It's a cycle of self-improvement, and it all starts with a healthy expectation from someone else. But of course, that's just one side of it. Now, we've got to talk about the other edge of the sword, the one that can do some serious damage. This is where expectations create a totally different kind of pressure. Yeah, this is the side of expectations we're probably all a little too familiar with. When they're just completely unrealistic or never-ending, they stop being motivating and just become a source of nonstop stress. That constant pressure can create this awful fear of failure, where every little thing feels like a final exam on your worth as a person. It's a fast track to burnout. So we get it. Too much pressure is bad. Obvious, right? But what about the total opposite? This is the hidden danger, the part of the problem we really don't talk about enough, when there are zero expectations, a complete void. Just let this quote sink in for a second. When no one expects anything of us, it can feel as though we are invisible or unimportant. Wow. It's not about feeling like you failed. It's about feeling like you don't even matter enough to fail. It's a deep, profound sense of being completely overlooked. When you put these two paths right next to each other, the dilemma becomes crystal clear. On one side, you have the crushing weight of too much, which leads straight to burnout. On the other side, you have the total emptiness of too little, which leads to feeling completely worthless. Both are terrible for our self-worth, which tells us that just trying to get rid of all expectations, that's not the answer.
So how in the world do we find that balance? Well, if expectations really are a double-edged sword, then the secret is learning how to handle it right. It's a skill. So let's get into some actual strategies for wielding this thing without hurting ourselves.
All right, here are 3 really powerful ways to start finding that balance. First up, setting healthy boundaries. That means getting comfortable with saying no sometimes and just being honest about what you can realistically do. Second, you've got to cultivate self-validation. This is huge. It means learning to be your own source of approval. And finally, embrace imperfection. Failure isn't the end of the world. It's just part of growing. It doesn't define who you are. And here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. The goal is not to get rid of external expectations. We actually kind of need them to feel connected and have a purpose. The real mission is to build such a solid foundation of your own internal self-worth that it doesn't get rocked every time someone else's opinion changes. Your value has to come from you first. So that leaves us with one last and maybe the most important question. Just take a second and really think about it. Whose expectations are actually shaping how you feel about yourself? Are they yours, or have you been living under the weight of someone else's? Figuring that out? Well, that's the first real step to taking back control.